record. I'm going to change to this first. Okay, great. So everyone, hello again. We are live here in the Facebook group. We have a live broadcast today with a beautiful and special guest. Some of you are here live, but those that are watching the recording later, if it's here on in the Facebook group or on YouTube, this is part of the Revitalize Your Life group on Facebook, in which the purpose of this group is to educate and to inspire people to really embark on the most exciting journey that you can ever embark on, which is your supreme health, vibrancy, radiant health, and finding answers that are not really available in the mainstream channels. Let's just say that. And ultimately, it's a journey of empowerment to really know yourself, to know your body, and to know how to care for this body in the most powerful ways, and to really unleash your human potential and what is possible for you in this body. So I love bringing guests and people to this group and this platform, and to have conversations that are uplifting, are inspiring, and to show what is possible when we choose to say yes to ourselves, and when we choose to rise above the fears. And this is something that we are going to speak about today. And that's why I was very inspired to bring Nicola on board and to share from her experience, because I have been in this for so many years, and just I know so much just from my own personal experience in the over a decade now. But Nicola is coming into this from a completely different background, and I believe that her story is very, very inspiring, because I know there are many people that are on the fence or want to dive into, let's say, a quote unquote more extreme steps, but they either are afraid or don't have the right information, or they just think, well, I just don't have the experience, so it's really like not for me. So Nicola will share from her experience today, and something that I found to be very, very inspiring, and just the way she shares it. And Nicola is now participating in an extended solitude vacation. It's part of a group that I'm leading, and it's been an absolutely incredible journey. And it's just so amazing to witness all of them, and to witness Nicola and the way she's been surrendering and allowing the journey to unfold. And so Nicola, you know, her story is just so, and it's fun. It's just fun to hear how she felt prior to even saying yes to this, and how she's finding herself now, day 50, which is today. And that's another thing that we can all celebrate, Nicola being on day 50 of only juice. And no, Nicola has never done anything like this in the past, and she will share more. But it's just so remarkable to watch what happens when the mind, it's because really it's all about the mind. This is what we are going to be talking about, that although there are many physical factors, but ultimately it's our mind and the level of readiness in which we are at in any given moment. So we'll dive into all these things. It will be a fun conversation between Nicola and I, and allow Nicola to share from her experience and anything that is going to come through today. And then if you have any questions in the comments, or if you have any questions along the way, just write it in the comments, and then we will address it as we go. So without further ado, Miss Nicola She's coming to us from Australia. And again, first of all, huge, massive congratulations for day 50 out of 90 days. By the way, I think I forgot to mention it. We are in a 90-day container. And so Nicola today is on day 50 out of the 90 days, unless Nicola does choose to go past the 90 days. So we shall see. We'll keep you updated and posted. But for today, we are celebrating day 50, huge, massive accomplishment beyond anything words can even describe, and beyond just the fact that she's glowing, she looks amazing, but she'll also share about the actual physical manifestations or benefits that she's experiencing and being free of pain after so many years. So I'm very, very excited. And Nicola, welcome. Just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll just go from there.
Thank you so much, Noah. And I can't believe it's 50 days. It's so surreal. It's been such a wild ride, and I am still pinching myself that I'm actually at this point. So thank you for your guidance. Definitely would not be able to do this without that, and without the support of the group, which has been crucial in getting to this point. So my name's Nicola. I am 43 years old. I have 2 children. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I have never ever done a cleanse before in my life. I think that's a good introduction.
Yeah. And Nicola, also, what was your eating, the way of eating prior to this?
Before I started the 90 days, my diet was probably the worst that it's been, probably since I was a teenager. So I was always very aware of food, and food being either your medicine or your poison. And when my kids were little, everything was organic, everything was homemade. And then over the years, things have crept in: treat days, takeaways, pasta, burgers. And so excuse me, the last few years it's been probably a typical Western diet: meat. I do try and cook healthy at home, but I don't think there's been a day in my life when I haven't had bread for breakfast, some kind of toast. So I was definitely holding on to this story that I needed carbs and fat in order to function. And anytime I would try and lose weight and cut down on the carbs, I would never make it till more than lunchtime, because I was feeling sick and dizzy and no energy. So, carbs was a big story and belief that I was holding, that I needed that to function. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and we know that it's not just Nicola's story, that many people hold on to many of these false stories, that I need this and I need that. And then you go on juices and you burst all those bubbles, like, oh, I actually don't.
Yeah, and when I was doing the prep week, so the 2 weeks prep, I kind of adjusted a meal at a time, and the breakfast was the last one I let go of, because I was terrified. I was terrified to not, I was very stuck in a routine of I'd get up. I'd actually given up coffee 2 years ago, so I was having cacao. But I, again, had formed an attachment and addiction to the cacao. It was my everyday cacao and toast with a cashew cheese on it. So it was the last thing that I let go of. And I was amazed that I could actually function without it.
Okay, yeah. So let's start from the beginning even. How did you find out about this this immersion, and what was the motivating force to even contact me and ask me about it?
Yeah, so the last 20 years, I have had horrific back issues. So I have a spondylolisthesis in my L4, L5 area, which is a herniated bulging disc. So for 20 years, every 3 to 6 months, my disc would go and I would be crippled. I wouldn't be able to walk without several chiropractic visits. So, 20 years of chiropractors and osteos and pain. The last 2 years, I'd been in constant pain from another disc that had moved and trapped a nerve down my left side. And I couldn't sit. I couldn't drive without being in excruciating pain. I could only be pain-free if I was laying down, and even then, not always. And I had started to realize that I'd done the emotional work, I'd done the spiritual work, and I knew the last piece for me was my physical body. Over the years, I'd gone from a size 8, size 10, and I'd put on 17 kilos after my children were born. And I started to acknowledge that I was putting my power outside of myself. I was looking outside of myself to be fixed, looking for the chiropractors, looking for that magic pill to take my pain away. I had even gone to see a surgeon. That's how bad the pain was. I went to see a surgeon, and at that point had already started trying to take some self-responsibility. I started doing the saunas and the ice baths and different things. But when I saw the surgeon and I said, look, I'm doing all these things, the surgeon said to me, none of that's going to make any difference. Your back you cannot heal your back. You cannot. Even surgery, the surgery he was recommending, he said there's no guarantee with that either. And so I came out of that appointment, and I actually came and sat in my cabin where I am now. And I was having a conversation with God, with the universe, whatever word you want to use. And I was literally like, what the fuck do you want from me? What do I need to do to get rid of this pain? And there was this little voice in my head going, you know what to do. You know the answer. It's diet and exercise. And I was like, no, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else that will, fix me. And so at that point, I'd literally surrendered. And I said, please, I've tried everything. Even though I knew that I hadn't addressed my diet, I was convincing myself, please, I've tried everything. I fully surrender to being shown how to heal myself. And not long after that, a friend of mine had recommended Bikram yoga, and I started going to Bikram with support of the teacher. Because of my back, I couldn't do certain postures, and the Bikram was a huge support. It did shift my pain level, but I was still unstable in my back and had twinges and one big point where my disc moved. And but it had made a huge difference. And then in January, we were going away to Vanuatu for my brother-in-law's wedding. And we're in Vanuatu, and I had 2 weeks of pretty much eating and drinking. I'm not a big drinker normally, but I drank every single day from lunchtime. Like I went hard. And I was in bed one night, and I was going through my phone, and I was wearing a swimsuit, and I felt gross. I didn't feel good about myself. I was getting chafe on my thighs from them rubbing together because I was overweight. And I was looking through my phone, and this email popped up from Noa, and it was announcing this 90-day solid food vacation. And as I read it, my whole body just tingled. There was like butterflies in my stomach, and I felt this it's really hard to describe this. It was this body, my whole body reacted to this email. And there's only one other time that I felt that, and it was a time when I was literally stood on the precipice of a huge transformation in my life. And so I knew what that felt like, and my mind went, fuck no way. There's no way you would do 90 days of juicing. Like, I think I tried to do a water fast one time, and I think I made it like 6 hours, 12 hours, and I was dying. And I was like, there's no way you can do 90 days of juicing. And so the next day, this feeling hadn't left me. It was like, this is it. This is your transformation. This is what you need to do. And I didn't tell anyone. I messaged Noah and I was like, can I have some details? And I was still like, no, there's no way. I've gone through my life, like if I drank a green juice and I didn't have a 6-pack the next day, I would quit. I would go to the gym for a week, and if I hadn't lost 10 kilos, I'm like, oh, this isn't working. I'll just go back to eating and doing everything as I would normally do. And I just knew that this is what I was doing. And I said yes to doing it. And I was absolutely petrified. I did not tell anyone. It took me about a month before I told my family, my husband and my kids, because I was scared of what people were going to think as well. Yeah. So that's how I got to this point. Pain brought me here. And I am in so much gratitude for the pain, because pain is our greatest teacher. It's telling us when things aren't aligned, when things are not as they're meant to be. You know, it's a conversation with you and God, showing you what you need to address in your life. And I only wish I'd done it sooner.
Wow, Nicola. Yes. And I had heard some of the story before, but there's some other pieces that you just shared right now that I'm hearing for the first time. And it's so amazing how God works, how the universe works, and how we are all so connected, and how beautiful it is. My goodness. And just again, bowing to your courage and bowing to your willingness to say yes, because what Nicola is sharing here, I say that we all know always. But it's that, like Nicola said, like, fuck, really? Is that what I need to do? And that is really that's the step, that's the leap of faith, so to speak, that we don't really see what's on the other side. We are terrified, yet we say yes anyway. And it's always, and no matter what, if it's a solid for vacation or anything else in your life that you really feel that strong conviction inside, I must take this step. I'm totally terrified. Usually if you are terrified, it's a great sign, because you know that's what's on the other side is complete magic. So when we say yes to that, the gifts that come on the other side are immeasurable. And I so resonate with Nicola's story, because this is something I had shared with Nicola already, and even when we were messaging, when she just contacted me. So I'll share here briefly that, I had done, as opposed to Nicola, I had done many things in my life in terms of juicing, in terms of even extended water fasts. And when I received the message, and it came through a consultation actually with another detox specialist, that I felt so guided to book a consultation with her. Because I know what's going on in my body. I can read my own eyes. I have all these tools, but just like Nicola knew all the answers, but it was this email or whatever coming from another voice guiding her to her next step. So for me, it was a very intuitive knowing to have this consultation with another friend, detox specialist, and she just laid it out to me, and she said, "No, that's your ticket. You do an extended solitude vacation." And just like Nicola described, I just felt it so strongly, like, oh, like the fuck, I know that this is my next step, but I felt terrified inside. Not terrified, but just, yeah, the fear of what I'm gonna drink juice for 90 days, And I actually just posted, so you can check out in the group the last post that I did, talking about that and the reason why we have these strong attachments to food and to eating and to chewing, and the thought of letting go of that, because it's that's more than anything else. That's where the attachments come, and the fears is just, I'm not going to have that with me, that security blanket, so to speak, for 90 days or whatever the amount of time. So I know that feeling, because that's exactly what I felt when I got the message. Oh, I know that this is for me. I know this is my next step, but then feeling the fear inside. And I shared with Nikolai, and I really love sharing this story, that after I got done with that consultation and knowing, okay, I was going to embark on a solitude vacation, the first thing I did, I made this huge salad, and I was just sitting there and eating it. And like, oh my God, I look back on that moment, and it's so funny to me. And just like Nicola shared, like she knew that was her next step in the direction of her greatest transformation. I didn't even imagine, I couldn't even comprehend the gifts that were on the other side of that solitude vacation, that was 2 years ago, and what has unfolded since then. And so this is such an important piece to consider and to remember. Again, in anything in your life, is you feel terrified about something, but you also know that this is your next step, is to take that step, like take that leap of faith, because it's the door that you are opening. You cannot even comprehend the amount of beauty that awaits you when you open that door, when you choose to open it completely and just walk in. So Nicola, what okay, so I have a few questions. Number one is, when you did choose to inform your family about the journey that you decided to embark on, what was the response there?
They didn't really know what to think. They just went, what do you mean what do you mean you're not going to eat for 90 days? Like, what? And that it was just they were very supportive. My husband and my children would always, they make fun of me regardless. But it was, I've had a lot of different reactions, some people being very supportive, and other people like, you're going to destroy your metabolism, you're just pumping yourself full of sugar, you're going to kill yourself, you're going to die. Like the whole range of reactions to it. But now what's interesting is a lot of those people who had the very negative reactions, and like you said in our group, have literally come to me and said, I think I need to do this. The very people who gave me the hardest time. And that is really, it's actually really satisfying.
Yeah, it's and that is a big factor, in the story, right? Of many people might want to embark on a journey like this, or even start, but then they stop because of the external influences and family. And it's wonderful that Nicola does have a very supportive partner and supportive family, but for many people, it's a big challenge. That there's a lot of opposition, there's a lot of sometimes even attack, or like Nicola is sharing, just kind of projecting all these fears and the things that people are conditioned to think, and then they lovingly share it with you. But yeah, that's wonderful to hear that people do turn around, and that's why it's so important to continue on your path and stay in your lane and shine, continue to shine, and then people see that. So okay, and now 50 days into it, what is it like with your family and your kids and your partner now, 50 days into it? Has something changed within the house, within the family dynamic?
Yeah, look, it's definitely now, it's just the way that things are now. It's not even a topic. So one of the hardest things is when I am making food, I can't taste test anything. So I sometimes the food's not that great when they eat it. But I think I have to consciously now, because I'm not sitting and eating with them, actually go and sit and have my juice when they have their dinner, because I kind of got into the habit of doing other things because I didn't need to sit down and eat. And so that was a piece that I had missed a little bit. So now I make sure that I sit down with them at dinner time. I am definitely more conscious of what I'm making for them. It's a little bit more difficult with the kids to make big changes quickly. So I've been trying to make small adjustments here and there with what they're eating, because obviously, you know, my mind has been blown away by learning about what the body actually needs and what it doesn't need, and how poisonous even, you know, things we consider healthy to our bodies. So it's definitely bringing shifts into the house. But I think my energy and my, you know, apart from the detox part, my energy has just been through the roof. Like, I feel incredible. So it's definitely affected my interaction with the family. I don't hit that wall at 3-5 o'clock where I've got no energy to, you know, help the kids with the homework and do things with them. So overall, it's been a really positive effect in the home.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Nicola, so okay, since you touching on this already, share with us, please, about the journey thus far. You also mentioned that you were dealing with so much pain throughout your life and with the back. And again, of course, you mentioned the surgeon there, where you're never going to find any answers. They just want to cut you open. And I mean, that's just all they know. That's the bottom line. No surgeon is going to tell you, oh, just go on a solitude vacation, because all of your spine issues are actually related to your gut. So please share about that. Just when did you start noticing, I mean, into the vacation, when did you start noticing a shift in the pain levels? Where are you finding yourself now, and other benefits that you are seeing? And then, yes, just where the walls that you've hit up until this point.
Yeah, so my Bikram yoga school actually closed on Christmas Eve, so I have not done the Bikram since Christmas. And I do intend to go back to it, but it was perfect, because it showed me what the juicing has done without being able to go, okay, was that Bikram, was that the juice? And so probably about a week, maybe about a week after my detox. So my detox kicked in about day 3, day 4 of juicing. So I'd done the 2 weeks prep, and then into the juicing. And so after I came out of my detox, the pain was I won't say it was completely gone at that point, but it was noticeably different. There was a few twinges, but the shooting pain had gone from down my leg. I couldn't tell you at what point the pain was gone. I don't remember, but I don't remember the last time I was in pain. So I wouldn't have been able to sit here for this long prior to doing the juicing. I would have had shooting down my legs and would have to stand up and move around, and I've got no pain. And which is just, it's mind blowing. I've also lost probably about 17 kilos. So I'm back down to my weight before I'd piled it on. And I do fully believe that the reduction of inflammation in my body, the extra weight that's gone, the cleaning of my intestines and my colon and my gut, all are what has got rid of my pain. Like, this is 20 years of pain. There is no coincidence with this. And yeah, it was probably the preparation week was a lot easier than I thought. And I remember at the end of the preparation week thinking, if I quit right now, I've already gained so much, because all of my stories, all of my beliefs have all been completely obliterated. Like, in the preparation week, I was just having steamed vegetables and juice, and then I transitioned straight onto juice because I didn't really like salads, and I don't eat a lot of fruit, so I kind of skipped that bit and just went straight into the juicing. And I felt amazing. And then about 3 days in, my detox started, so I had the headaches, hot and cold sweats, and just kind of body aches. And what I had done, I knew that I wanted to go fully into this. I wanted to surrender completely and give this experience everything that I had, because of the pain, because I'd been suffering in pain for so long. I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going all in. So I cleared my schedule for the 4 months so that when I needed to rest, I could rest. So I spent about 4 days in bed with the detox. And I hate headaches. Like, I can deal with pain, but headaches, I cannot function. It's the only time where I will reach for the Panadol. We don't take medications very often, but I would reach for the Panadol. And I remember I was laid in bed with this 3 days of this pounding headache. And I was like, and I can't take anything. And I laid there and I just went, I just have to surrender to the pain. I just have to accept that this is part of the process and not try and fight it, not be frustrated with it, just completely give myself over to the pain and allow it to fully take over me. And I did. And it definitely, when you're not battling with it, it makes it easier. And I think the next day my headache had started to shift. And I think the first couple of weeks, I think, were relatively smooth sailing physically. One of the things I found really bizarre is I have not been hungry one time. Not one time have I had any hunger pains. It's crazy. And the thing that I found most difficult in the early weeks was my mind. I would drive past restaurants and I'd think, oh, I wonder what that restaurant's like. When I can eat again, I'm going to go there. And I would be smelling everybody's food and just imagining all the things that I was going to have. But I hadn't had any particular cravings. It was more like the social aspect, I think. But there was no actual cravings at that point. And then around day 17, I had these intense cravings for junk food. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And it was on a Friday, and my kids get, we have like chicken shops here. So on a Friday after school, they get their Friday treat, which is they go and get chicken and chips or burger and chips from the chicken shop. So we had that at home, and I just kept smelling it, and like the drool. And I when the kids had left it, I was like, I have to give this to the dogs right now because I will eat it. Like, the cravings were that strong. And I think on the Monday we had our group call, and you were explaining that day 17 to 21 is when parasites will start dying, and they will literally take over your mind and your body and try and get you to eat. And I was like, oh my gosh, that wasn't me that was craving that. And because I'd had so many weeks prior to that with no cravings, I knew that was the truth, that these parasites were controlling my desires. And I was like, ew. And then I believe I did a 36-hour dry fast. And the next day I passed tapeworms. And there will have been parasites in there, but I don't go through carefully with it. But what had happened after I'd seen the tapeworm come out, it was the most amazing and horrifying experience I think I've ever had, going, what is that? And I literally felt like this shift inside me, this shift in my body. It was like I'd released a dark passenger. I felt this aliveness. I felt this tingling through all of my cells. The only way I could describe it, it was like this connection to the divine, this connection to the essence of life. Just felt like this dark matter had been removed from my body, and I could feel life, which was just incredible. And so that was around day 20, maybe day 24, 25, I think. And then I got to day 30. And in my mind, I was like, day 30 is like, yes, that's an achievement. That's like, I'm going to get to day 30 and it's going to be smooth sailing. And the opposite happened. I got to day 30 and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, day 30 days, that's ridiculous. Like, most people do 7 days. Like, I give myself a pat on the back. I'm amazing. I don't need to do this anymore. I've lost enough weight, feel good. And I literally was like, I'm done. And I remember we had in the fridge, we had these beautiful spinach and cheese goslemis, which we put in the flat toaster to warm them up. And I went and I turned the toaster on and I got them out of the fridge and I put it down and I went, oh, I'm not done. I'm not done. Like, my mind was done. And I turned the toaster off and I put them back in the fridge and I was like, fuck, I'm doing it. I'm not done. Now, normally when that would happen, like, I used to be a smoker. I quit smoking 2 years ago, which is a whole story in itself. But normally, like, when I would try and I'd make up my mind about something and then I'd feel, oh no, I'm done. I was done. Like, I'd quit smoking and 6 hours later I would be smoking again. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And there would be that switch. This time it didn't happen. This time it was the opposite. My mind was like, we're done, but my body was like, sorry, you're not done yet. And I was really annoyed. That I wasn't done. And then I think I actually went into another detox around that time. There was another layer of shifting. So I think I had maybe 2 days of headache and not feeling great symptoms. And then when I hit day 40, there was just this shift, this energetic shift of, it's just easy now. This is just how it is. There's no cravings. There's no desire for different things. It's actually really surreal. It's just the way it is. There's no battle anymore. In, like, it's almost like, the argument I was having with myself, it's just gone. And now we're rocking and rolling. Yeah. So that's where I am now. I'm feeling amazing. I'm actually doing a dry fast at the moment, which I just love the dry fasts, which I never thought I would do one of those either. That's just, it's all really wild to me. It's all very wild and very surreal. And I actually can't believe that I'm doing it, because I've always struggled with discipline. I've always been the rebel. I always go against anything that I should do. And I think that's why me stepping actually to take care of my physical body was the last thing that I have done, because I know that I should, therefore I won't. And I think the biggest thing that changed that for me was actually when I was quitting smoking. And I won't even say quitting, when I was releasing smoking, because I'd smoked from being 13 years old. And I'd tried everything. I'd done the hypnotherapy, I'd done the cold turkey, I'd done the patches, done it all. And one of my mentors had said to me, what energy are you doing this from? And when I looked at it, it was all out of fear of death, fear of this, fear of disease, fear of this. And she said, you need to look at doing it because of love, because you love yourself, not because you're afraid. You need to love and value yourself enough to make these choices for yourself. And my mind was like, zzz, zzz, what? And what I did was I called in my 13-year-old self, and I connected with that part of me when she started smoking. And this was through a meditation. And when I connected with her, the reason that she started smoking was to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel a sense of belonging with her peers. And what I had done is continually shamed that part of myself. Oh, you're weak, you've got no discipline, you're killing yourself, you're a loser, whatever the story was. And I'd continued to shame that part of myself. And my teacher said, you need to accept that part of yourself. And I was like, how can I accept me smoking? It's killing me. That makes no sense. How do I accept something that I know is wrong? And she said, that's what acceptance is. It doesn't mean you like it, doesn't mean you agree with it, but you love and accept it as it is. And so for 12 months, I continued to smoke. And every time I would sit down and light a cigarette, I would visualize my 13-year-old self. And I would look at her and I would say, I love you. I accept you as you are. If you want to smoke, you smoke, for 12 months. And over the 12 months, the desire to smoke just disappeared. And I haven't smoked since. And so that, to me, was the biggest shift in me being able to do what I'm doing now, because it's out of love and value for myself, not out of fear. And that part to me is the alignment of your soul's will with the will of your ego. And before, I was always trying to live through the will of my ego. It wasn't aligned in my highest and best. And this time now, my will and my soul's will is in alignment. This is in the highest and best for me. And I believe that is such a huge part of why this has been easy. And I don't mean easy in the sense there's been challenges, but I'm doing this. There's nothing that is shaking me from this. My will is aligned.
Hey, man, sister. Wow. Just brilliant, brilliant. I love your teacher there, the mentor. Oh my God. Yes. Because as you know, I mean, you've been journeying with me for a while now. This is the foundation to what I share, that it's really not about anything that you should be doing, but it's not even discipline, but it's coming from a space of a devotion. I'm devoted to this incredible vehicle in my life, basically, like recognizing that your life is a gift, and so being of service to it in the best way possible. And it's just wow, everything that you shared, Nicola, is so inspiring, so on point. I resonate with it so deeply. And Maria is saying beautiful, and Stacy saying powerful, and Daniela, the will versus the ego, so huge. Yes, and it's what Nicola is sharing is so valuable, because that is the dissonance for us humans, until we get to a place. But what Nicola is describing is basically a unification, is when the soul feels safe enough to descend into the body, because you're creating a safe space for that soul to reside. And then there's more unification, because ultimately what we consider to be our personal ego will, it can be working in conflict to quote unquote divine will in our soul. But then when we allow the soul to descend, when we live from a more embodied place because the soul feels safe, then there's no separation between what we consider to be the ego will and divine will, because thy will be done is that divine will, and will of God, the will of your soul, however you want to call it, will always lead you to your greatest potential. And that includes your vibrant health and your body being in state of supreme vibrancy. So it's really what Nicola is describing. And this is really for, again, majority of people encountering those limitations that we put for ourselves. And that's what we can say is the ego that also doesn't want us to change. It wants us to stay, even if it's uncomfortable. But what Nicola describing, like being in pain, and so many people are in pain, so many health issues, so many discomforts, and they actually, in some way, shape, or form, they're actually choosing to stay in that uncomfortable place because the change is bringing so many different fears. So the journey, and it's again what Nicola shared here is so valuable, is coming to a place in which you value yourself and love yourself more, or the volume of that love and that appreciation is that much stronger and louder than the ego trying to keep you in a comfortable place, even if it's the smoking or whatever it is, that is actually keeping you in a much lower state, in an uncomfortable state. And the acceptance piece that Nicola shared is so immense as well, because really it's important to bring that to the table. And acceptance doesn't mean, well, I'm just going to keep poisoning myself with the cigarettes or whatever it may be. But in order to allow that to dissolve, and I resonate it so deeply in my own journey as well, that it's been such a lesson of just whatever it may be for you, right, is accept it, know where it's coming from. And then, like Nicola shared, you're going to see it dissolving without you trying to force anything or trying to discipline yourself to death, which just doesn't work. Because especially if you have that inner rebel inside, like Nicola is describing, and many people do, then it's just going to snap at some point. So there's just so many beautiful nuggets. And if you have anything in the comments also, please, any questions for Nicola, or any particular questions that you have about solid food vacation, or just anything, you can please type it in the comments. And same thing if you're watching the replay later. But for now, if you have anything, just please type it. So Nicola, what would you say is like the biggest nugget that you can share at this point? I mean, you've already shared so many beautiful nuggets, but if there's one nugget for you that you would say, like now where you are, day 50 on that peak, because there are going to be many, many different peaks, right? But on the day 50 peak, what is the biggest nugget that you can share?
Wow. Well, biggest nugget. I think I never ever thought I would do anything like this, ever. And I remember, actually, I used to be really triggered. I have a friend who was always on these food plans. Like, she would do like 5 weeks of watermelon, and I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I would be so irritated by these food plans that she was doing. And I didn't, I'm a big believer in anything that triggers us is showing us a part of ourselves that we need to heal. And I didn't see it with this until now, that I was so triggered by what she was doing, because I wasn't addressing my own health and I wasn't taking the steps. And I think, a lot of people say to me, oh, I could never do this. I don't have the discipline. I'm like, me either. Like, you have no idea. People that know me are like, you did what? Like, that's not you. Like, I don't have that discipline. There's people that go to the gym all the time and they're very disciplined. That is not me at all. And so I think the biggest thing is that anything is possible. if you surrender, if you're in pain and you don't know what to do, and you surrender to being shown, and you're watching this and you're guided to do this, take the leap of faith. Taking a leap of faith isn't, jumping into, a fluffy blanket. It's jumping into the unknown, and, learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and find peace in the unknown is two of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself. Because when you can have that faith, that you're always going to be caught. You don't know when or how, but that you're going to be caught. And I knew when I said yes to this, even before I said yes to this, I knew that I would not be the same person at the end of it. And as terrifying as that was, it was less terrifying than staying where I was. And, to look back at the pain that I've been through and the journey that I've been on to get here, the pain is your teacher. If you're in pain, you need to address it. It's showing you something within yourself. Don't put your power outside of yourself into somebody else's hands. Whether it is medical or integrative or natural practitioners, you are the creator of your reality. And if you have physical pain in your body, it's because you haven't been seeing the signs that you've been given. I believe that the physical body is the last place that things manifest when they're out of alignment in your life. And so I don't know if that's one nugget, but that's my overall conclusion as to the power of doing something like this.
Brilliant, Nicola, absolutely brilliant. And wow, I'm so excited to see what awaits you more, in just the next 40 days. Wow. That's something so exciting about this journey, right? That how you just never know. And I also want to mention, and we just don't know, Nicola might have a complete smooth ride for the next 40 days. I mean, it will be mostly smooth for sure, but it's not like she could, like, even tomorrow or a few days from now, encounter another layer, because that's how it works when we clean the body. And that's why it's important to be informed and educated. Is just people think that years and years, and we're talking about generations, because you weren't born with a clean slate. And so there are so many layers really to clean. And people think that all these years, all these generations are just going to be erased in 40 days or even 90 days, right? So when you go on a 90-day journey, then it's like, yeah, it's like different layers that you're gonna get into, and that's when we reach those, let's say, lower valleys, aka detox symptoms, and it could very much be, not even could, it's also very much emotional, because the body and the emotional body, they work together. And so it's really exciting to watch, and everybody has such a personal journey. So if you want to watch Nicola's journey, she does post updates on her personal page every few days or so. So we'll keep you updated all the way until day 90, and we shall see what day 90 brings. Yes, and so thank you so much, Nicola. Everything that you shared, really, like, so much wisdom and so much power in your words and your message there, and your personal experience. It's just, again and again, like, I am always not even in awe, because I'm like, of course, but there's an awe in the sense when I hear people, like, 20 years of pain that started to shift even before Nicola went to juicing. Like, she was just in the prep week, and then she started noticing that the pain was starting to shift, so it's like, come on, the answers are not at what we've been told. Let's just say that. And I really appreciate when people share that. That's why it's important to share. So I just want to address a question here, Christina, that she's saying she's on a detox right now through Dr. Morse, and she's struggling when feeling like a failure when she's eating things that are she's not supposed, quote unquote, supposed to eat because she's on a detox. And she did 40 days of fruit juice a few months ago, and she wasn't able to continue. So she's asking if there's anything to share about that feeling of like feeling a failure. So Christina, that's a wonderful question. And, also when it comes to these things, it's really important to get a holistic or overall look at the person, because everyone is very different, even though Nicola is sharing from her experience, but that's Nicola. And that's where her mind is at, and everything that she's done up until this point, like there's just no comparison, right? So we got to look at all the components. For you in particular, let's just say like emotionally, what's your background with food? Because it's such a complex topic, food and our relationship to food, our relationship to our body. So we got to look at your history, where you're coming from, especially as a woman, your relationship to food, and all these things to know how to address that. So even though I'm a Dr. Morse practitioner myself, I also incorporate many different tools that to know, okay, yeah, the fruits is definitely the answer, the juices and whatnot, but there's also different ways to approach it depending on the individual and what they're working with emotionally and psychologically and even physically, for sure. Some people are a lot more stronger, like their constitution. I can already tell, even without seeing Nicola's eyes or anything like that, but I can already tell she has a very strong constitution. That's why she's having a relatively easy experience, because her constitution is very strong. I have a strong constitution as well. And so people that have more genetic weaknesses, they have more or a weaker constitution, they're going to have a harder time. Both physically and emotionally, so that could be another factor that is playing out. And then it's just like Nicola was sharing, is to really start bringing acceptance, Christina, to the choices that you're making, basically, because it doesn't matter if it's the smoking or eating the things that are not the greatest for you, is to bring acceptance to that, to also connect to that. Or maybe it is something from childhood, which is in most cases that's what it is. Nicola shared she started smoking when she was 13. So whatever started around that time, because that's a very significant time in a child's life, 12, 13, those early teen years. Maybe it is related to something back then, because it's more than anything else. You going back to the feeling. It's not even about the food, but it's just like Nicola was sharing about the shame and the guilt that she was feeling with the smoking. And that's why she kept on smoking, because it kept perpetuating those feelings of shame and guilt. So for you, it sounds like the failure, right? Which includes you probably feeling shame or guilt around it. So it's really bringing yourself back to when did it start? And accepting, start bringing more love and compassion. And it's a process, it's just like anything else. It's a process. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but every time you see that feeling of failure that comes, you have the power in that moment to switch and say, well, I can actually choose to feel differently. And then slowly it will become more of a regular thing. And then there's other tools to use in terms of reprogramming the mind, and like EFT and different things that you can do. So I hope this helps. And Nicola, if you have anything you want to share about that.
Yeah, I believe that anything like that is an aspect of ourselves, a part of ourselves that's just asking for love. And so exactly what you said, just connecting with that part of yourself. because she is asking for love and acceptance. And that I use that any time that I have something like that come up now. When I catch it, it's love and acceptance of that part of myself. It's almost like, have you seen the movie Soul on Disney? It's that it's like the, you know, the little soul that turns into the demon under, you know, that's that part of yourself. It just wants love so it can come back home.
Yes, oh, I love that you brought that up. I love that movie, and if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend to watch it. That movie, yeah, Soul. It's such a beautiful one, and exactly what Nicholas said here, and that's why I teach. I say, you know, the fruits. It's not the fruits that quote unquote heal you. It's not the herbs. It's not the juices. It's love. It really is. It's love, and it's the focus. Have your focus be on that, because it's the love for yourself that is going to motivate you. That's going to be your fuel to make the most loving choices. This is the underlying, the foundation for everything that we are talking about here. Yes, it's important to have the practical information and the juicing and everything that comes with it, but it's what's going to motivate you to continue when it becomes hard, or what is going to motivate you to just continue to care for yourself even when you're done with 90 days. Like, it has to be rooted in love, because when it's forced, even if it's an unconsciously forced, then it's going to create an inner tension inside. It's going to create some sort of a battle. And then that rubber band is going to snap at some point. And I've been enough in the detox community, Christina, to see that, and to see people really, really being challenged and going back and forth and having the ping pong. And I know for myself as well. And so it's, we can just focus on, okay, I'm doing all these things. And because if it's not rooted in love, if the fuel is not, I'm doing this because I value myself and love myself and appreciate this gift of life, then yes, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a struggle. And then we get on those perpetual cycles of, I feel guilty, I feel shameful, I feel I'm beating myself up. Like, we all have a version of that in whatever way, shape, or form. So have your focus be on that. And just like Nicola shared, it's like this practice, right? You just keep bringing yourself back to love and acceptance, love and acceptance. You start developing this new muscle until that becomes the norm. And then you'll notice that naturally, oh, wow, I'm making different choices. And it's just not even a struggle anymore. It's just the way it is, you know, and be patient with the process for sure, while simultaneously you keeping things like, you know what is best for you to do, you know? So yes, okay. And she's saying, totally underneath, there's a fear that I have to heal ASAP, and this resistance to the fact that my body is not fully healthy. Okay, beautiful, Christina. I hope that I'm glad that this helped, because it's this that fear that you need to heal ASAP is what keeping you from actually, quote unquote, not healing, you know? So it's a very interesting thing, because it's another ego tactic to actually keep us away from vibrant health. I mean, it's very, very, like, psychologically, we're looking at some very deeper layers and sophisticated ways the ego operates. So it's really important to actually just see, you are already healed. You are already in perfect health. Really is. You are in perfect health, and you aligning yourself to that vision of perfect health. And the less you rush yourself into it, or force yourself into it, or believe that you are not, then it's going to feel very long, and there's going to be a lot of resistance. But already see yourself as perfect, absolutely perfect health. And you're bringing your physical vehicle to align with that truth. And that is the truth. And that is how we are walking ourselves back home to our natural state. That's how I call it. Our natural state is a state of complete peace and perfect health, vibrant health, immortality, even if you wanted to reach those levels. I mean, there are many many things that are available to us, and we are walking back to that place of knowing and our true home, right? So love is what brings us there, not force. So let me know if there's any other questions or comments in the chat. And Nicola, thank you so much, dear one. It's such a pleasure to have you here and to see your vibrant self sharing so much wisdom. And as I said, I'm so excited to keep witnessing you, and so happy that you are where you're at and sharing this with, I know, so many loved ones around you that have been witnessing and watching you and are feeling very inspired. So that is very beautiful to watch as well. So any closing words, Nicola?
Oh, firstly, thank you so much for having me. And I would not be doing this without your love and support. And the group has been such an amazing. Without the group, it wouldn't be the way that it is. And your wisdom and your knowledge. Even the other week, I'd shared that I was feeling a bit jittery and a bit lightheaded, and you were like, okay, what are you having? Okay, remove this and add this, and then my jitters are gone. So your knowledge has just been absolutely invaluable in this. So thank you so much. And I think I speak for all the ladies in the group when I say that, the group energy is probably what has kept a lot of us moving, as we've seen this week as well. That love and support that we all have for each other. And I do believe that you will be hearing from a few of my friends and family who have already said, okay, we want to get on this now. So yeah, but thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
And yes, Nicola, we are starting a juicy revolution. That's what's happening. More to come about that. And Daniela, beautiful. You can just send me a private message, okay? And then we can talk about that. And Christina, thank you, my dear. And I'm glad to hear that this was helpful for you. So everyone, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today live. And if you are watching the recording again, put your comments down below if you have any questions or any comments whatsoever. Nicola, again, she's on her personal page and sharing updates and such. So that's all the info for now. And we are sending you so much love and gratitude for being here. Keep it juicy and stay tuned for the juicy revolution coming soon. Stacy saying the support from Noa and the group is so helpful and uplifting. Yeah, definitely, ladies. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. It's been an absolute delight. Mm-hmm. Yes. So thank you, beautiful ones. Have a wonderful day if you are in daytime, or have a beautiful evening, a beautiful night. And we shall see you next time. So bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.